Alrighty, welcome back. We just finished working for Mr. Gomez, got his field harvested. And whoever this neighbor is, he was out here, so we thought we'd go ahead and hit him up for a little bit of work while he's out here. So we'll just run on over here and talk to him real quick, see if he's got something he's wanting to pay us to do. Because we need to make money. So let's just see what he has to say. His name is Richard White. He owns field number 22.99 hectares. I don't know what that means. HA. I always knew things by acres. He's only says his property's worth $80,000. See, ready to get to work? I need that field over there pulled up quick so I can take it to the market. Between you and me, this has not been the best month financially speaking. Amen to that, brother. We're both in that boat. He's got $6,600 set aside if I'll harvest his field. And he's only got an 18-foot header, though. That's going to be a lot of work on an 18-foot header. And he's given us 20 minutes to do his field. So we better get busy. Come on. Hook up. There we go. Let's get this thing unfolded. And get to work. Because we're in a hurry. He's got a little cannoli planted, so he should make some money if he gets a decent harvest, but I don't know. It's not looking bad for cannoli, I guess. Maybe his field was fertilized. You got kind of a narrow, long field here. Well, what's this look like inside here? The old New Holland blue seat. Yeah, we got us a radio. Get the football game turned on. Go to town. Well, there's a cannoli coming in. Nice quiet cab. And nice little small harvester. That's what I'm running on my farm. Only I opted for a little bit bigger head than what he's got. Because I know how much of a pain in the ass it is to harvest with a small head like that. I said, don't cut a very big path. He didn't tell me if he wanted straw, so he ain't getting straw laid down. I'm on broadcast mode. I don't know if I'd even have the option to switch it. Nope, don't even give me that option. I guess he didn't want to deal with the straw, baling it and picking it up. Well, I guess you can't. This is cannoli. What am I thinking? There wouldn't be any on cannoli anyway. I was thinking I was in a wheat field or a barley field, but I'm not. This is cannoli. Back where I'm from in Colorado, you don't see a lot of cannoli planted there. You see a lot of winter wheat, some barley. If you're down in the valley, a little bit of corn. If you're over by Grand Junction in that area, not a lot of. You get some potatoes up there in the valley, the San Luis Valley. But I can't say for certain that I've ever seen much cannoli ever planted. Seen some oats. But I never really grew up in the farming kind of thing. Like I was saying earlier, we were basically all just raised alfalfa and grass hay just to feed our cows. That's how I grew up. We never really farmed any wheat or anything. It was always alfalfa and grass hay. And then we did a lot of just running cows on pasture. Oh, quit freezing up on me. There was one year my old man got the idea to lease a bunch of ranches up there in South Park. I grew up around South Park, around Fairplay, and we leased a bunch of land, and we ran cattle for the King's Ranch one summer up there. We ran 10,000 head of steers. And I guess in all told we had close to 80,000 acres of ranches leased up there that we were running them on, and that was not a fun summer, riding 10,000 head of cows every day, fixing fences on all these old ranches. We were chasing steers everywhere. It was a long summer. And he had a partner that was out of Texas that he partnered up with on the deal, and he stayed at one side of the South Park there, up near a town called Jefferson, and we stayed at the other end near Fairplay, in between Fairplay and Hartselle, and we had half the herd over at our end, and he had the other half at his end, and in our end we had, I guess, I want to say like 5 ranches we had leased in our side, and he had, I think, 3 or 4 over there that he was running on, and they're pretty big ranches. Like I say, I think in all we had close to 80,000 acres leased, and we were running that cattle on, this summer pasturing them for the King's Ranch. And about 4th of July, our partners at the other end, the guy from Texas, he decided that he wanted to drive the cattle from one of his ranches to another one that was like, I want to say it's about 20-mile drive that we had to take him on, and he just had to do it on the 4th of July, so we ended up driving him down the highway, the main highway that went through South Park there, called Highway 285, and we drove him down that on the 4th of July, and of course everyone out of Denver was coming up to the mountains for the 4th of July, so we had a traffic jam. It was, I guess, it went to full 20 miles. We were holding up traffic, trying to keep these cattle off the highway, driving them down both sides of the highway, and we only had like me, my brother, my dad, and I think he had himself and 2 ranch hands, and we were driving 5,000 head of steer down that highway, 20 miles. So that was not a fun day either. Man, everybody that was stuck in that traffic jam was pretty upset at us, as you can imagine. Because driving 5,000 head of cattle down a highway is not a fast process. It's a long, slow drive. And then the fence lines along the highway, the cattle would jump into the neighbors' pastures, and we'd have to go round them up out of them pastures and get them back onto the highway so we could keep driving them down the highway. So it was quite a long day. I went through 3 horses on that drive, just chasing cows, wearing the horses out, chasing them out of the pastures and stuff. But it was an interesting time of my life doing that. I had more people taking pictures of me that day than I ever had in my entire life. Because I guess to them people coming up out of Denver, they never really saw cowboys and cattle and stuff, and they wanted to take pictures. But all in all, we didn't have too much trouble with the people on the highway. A few of them got angry, but most of them seemed to just enjoy watching us drive the cattle and taking our picture. I think that's what kind of upset me the most was our partner there from Texas. That's all he wanted to do was pose for pictures. While the rest of us was having to run out and chase the cattle in the fields and try and keep the herd moving. He just stayed at the back posing for pictures. So it was kind of annoying. We started at like 4 in the morning that day, and we didn't finish up until, I guess it was about 4 in the morning the next day is when we finally got them to the ranch we were taking them to. And it rained sometime in the middle of the night, and it was just not a fun day at all. And I got stuck on one of his horses because I'd only brought my horse that I used to always ride. It was a little Appaloosa horse, and he was getting pretty tired from chasing and stuff, so he went ahead and loaned me one of his horses that his wife had brought along in one of the trailers about midday, and I swear that I hated that horse. Every time I'd get on a cow, he told me it was top-notch cutting horse. And every time I'd get behind the cow and start working it, that horse would rear up on his hind legs, do that hi-ho silver bullshit on me. And I fought that horse for, God, I guess 5 or 6 hours doing that. And finally I got onto a different horse to finish off the day, and that's when it started to rain, and that horse didn't like that I was wearing a slicker. So I was having to fight that horse all day because he wasn't used to having a slicker flapping around in the wind and rain. So he was spooked all through the night when I was riding on him. But that's just one of the things I did when I was a kid, and still remember it to this day. And it was miserable, but it was fun in a way too. I'd never really did a full out cattle drive like that before, so that was basically a new experience that I went through. And then there was another summer, because my dad, to make ends meet, he used to sell real estate up there in South Park, and he sold real estate on a ranch called the Western Union Ranch, where they had taken it was a really neat old ranch. I remember it when I was a kid. It was a pretty big ranch. It was like, I want to say 20,000 acres. And the company Western Union, the ones that did the Western Union Telegraph, bought the land, and they wanted to sell it to people in 5-acre lots from Denver so they could build their mountain homes, that they could get away from Denver and escape to the mountains. So anyway, he was selling real estate on that ranch, and one day they had a big, I guess it was another 4th of July kind of party for all the people that owned lots up there on that ranch, and they hired a guy to bring in some dude horses. Well, he didn't have anybody to take all the people out on a guide, so I ended up working for him for the day and taking all these people out on horseback rides up into the mountains, and that was another experience that I really never want to do again. Taking a bunch of people that's never been on a horseback ride in the mountains. I mean, granted, these were some old horses. They were like 10, 12, 13-year-old horses that really couldn't do much anymore. But never failed. I'd have to lead like 3 or 4 of them because the people were scared to kick them and make them go. So that was my city slickers experience there, dealing with people that's never been on a horse. That was another fun summer. I'm just glad I didn't have to take them on a cattle drive. That would have been too much to ask, having to take care of all these people that were afraid of the horse they were sitting on, and then trying to keep cattle in line. That would have been a disaster, because I was the only one. Didn't have no help whatsoever. Just me and all these 20-some people wanting to learn how to ride a horse. Just was not a fun day. And I guess I was only like 13 or 14 years old when I did that. And I had these 30 and 40 and 50-year-old people listening to me on how to ride a horse. It was kind of crazy. Teaching everybody how to ride horses that day. But they all enjoyed it. They had fun even when I was having to lead their horse for them. I swear I had like 4 horses on lead ropes behind me. And people were just riding on the horse while I led it. Really wasn't much of a experience, but they enjoyed it, I guess. So, there you have it. That's where I came from. I grew up in Colorado. I lived in South Park until I was, I want to say, 12 or 13 years old, and then we moved to the lower part of Colorado, down in the Four Corners area around Cortez, Colorado. And my dad was a school teacher also. He taught building trades at a vocational school down there in Cortez. And that's where I went to junior high and high school. In the summers, we would go up to South Park, and that's when we ran the cattle, was when I was in high school. I think I was 16 that year, because I did have my driver's license. And then after I graduated high school, I worked in Denver for a while at a oil change center, one of them quick lubes. Got married, and then gold mines started taking off there in Nevada. So I moved out to a town called Battle Mountain, Nevada. Worked at a gold mine out there. And then I moved down to Hawthorne, Nevada, worked at another one. And then from Hawthorne I moved to Fallon, Nevada, and worked at another one called Kennecott. They were a big Mormon mining outfit out of Salt Lake. And I worked there until I messed up my back. Well, I actually messed it up when I was working in Denver. But shoveling all that gravel and stuff off the conveyor belts, that kind of destroyed my back. Crawling crushers, and that's what I worked at. I worked at the crusher. So we were constantly having to shovel off conveyor belts when they'd overload, or shovel out a cone crusher when it overloaded and froze up. So that pretty much did my back in, and I went ahead and got out of mining and got back together with my dad, and we bought us a 160-acre ranch there in the San Luis Valley. Yep, looks like we're done with this field. Didn't make quite as much money on it. But anyway, we ended up buying that ranch there in the San Luis Valley there, around a town called Moffett, which was a little bit, it was about 50 miles outside of Alamosa. It was the biggest town between Alamosa and Salida there. And we lived on that ranch for a while, ran a few cattle. Mostly what we did there was we'd go to the dairies and buy their calves and just raise them up and sell them off. And after that, my mom had passed away, and my dad was getting pretty old at that time, and we went ahead and sold the ranch there, and I bought a bar and restaurant up in Wyoming for a while. We ran a bar and restaurant there in Wyoming in a town called Powder River outside of Casper, Wyoming. And I ended up selling that because my back just couldn't take doing that kind of stuff either. You know, carrying all the beer and stuff all the time. So I sold that and moved to a town called Fort Mojave, Arizona. Just outside of Bullhead City, I guess you could call it a suburb of Bullhead City, Arizona. Right across the river from Laughlin, Nevada, and that's where I live now. So, don't get to do much farming anymore. I just the only farming I'm doing now is just what you see in the game, I guess. So, we're going to go ahead and pay off a couple of more payments to the bank here. Yeah, I think we're only going to be able to make one payment. But there we go. Let's see what our loan's down to now, $880. So we've managed to pay off $20,000 of our $900,000 loan, just doing a couple of odd jobs. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, and we'll catch you on the next one. And if you enjoyed this and enjoyed listening to me ramble about my life, leave me a comment and let me know about some of your experiences. I'd like to hear from you. So we'll catch you on the next video. Remember to click like and subscribe if you enjoy this series. And if you don't enjoy it, leave me a comment and I'll see if I can do something different. So anyway, we'll catch you on the next video, and there you have it. We're at $880,000, paid off $20,000 of our loan. So take care, and we'll catch you on the next one.